I had a lot of questions I hadn't answered, and you're telling me the time plus the calculations too. I didn't sleep till I finished my pharmacology revision. If I should write this way in my theory and in my practical, then it's over. I'm going to fail. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are seeing my face for the first time, my name is Miss Soma and I'm a fifth year medical student in Nigeria. Here in this channel, I make videos concerning various topics in medical school, and I also make helpful sit down videos for medical students, so you can do it to subscribe. In today's video, I'll be sharing how I prepared for my second MBBS exams in my fourth year, and also I'll be sharing my experience. In my fourth year in my school, we write the mock exams 2 to 3 weeks before the main exams. So while preparing for my mock exams, I was also preparing for my MBBS exam. So the first thing I did is that I got rid of social media. Secondly, I increased my study time. Normally, I would go to class during the day, and when I come back, I sleep, wake up by 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. depending on how tired I am. I'll wake up and then read till 4 a.m. or 5 sometimes, and then sleep back and wake up early in order to meet up with my 8 o'clock class or 9 o'clock class. So this is how my routine was in my fourth year doing classes. But then we were not having classes, so I tried to sleep at night. Then the next morning, 8, 9, I'm in school, and I read from then till maybe 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., and then I return home to rest. So this basically how my routine was. So in a day, before my exams, in a day I could read for at least 8 hours. So the number three thing I did is that I sought for help. You need to seek for help, especially when you are drowning. You need to ask people for help. So I asked my counselor for help. The fourth thing I did is that I prayed and fasted. One thing I believe in life is that it's not of him that runneth or willeth, it's of God that showeth mercy. The next thing I did for in preparation for my mock exams and my main exams is that we had to reduce the time we met study group sessions. So we understand better when we read and come together to study it compared to when we haven't read and someone is just telling us. It feels like we are floating. So we had to reduce the study group sessions. We had to reduce the meeting time or the meeting period, so that we would all have our own personal time to go about what we want to study. The next thing is I studied past questions, because there is no exam I go for without glancing or reading through past questions. These are basically the few things I did in preparation for my MB exams. So let's quickly go to the second part, which is my entry year four. I told myself that I was going to involve myself in practicals and make sure I get a lot of marks from practicals, and that's basically what I did for my practicals, especially the histopathology part. I was always looking at the pots. If I want to sleep at night, before I sleep at night, I will look at pots. When I wake up in the morning, when I go to class to read, I look at pots. If I was looking at pots morning and night, so that if they bring this pot out, I already know what they're talking about. That's how I prepared for my practicals when it came to histopathology. Chemical pathology, I read my manual because we have a manual. Hematology was just physiology, maybe a little advancement in physiology. So for my second MB, we have pathology and pharmacology. That's two courses. And in pathology, in my school, we write the four pathologies together: the chemical pathology, the hematology, the microbiology, and the histopathology. It was always said that the mock exams are harder than the main exams. But in my own case, the mock exams were easier than the main exams. The mock exams were tough, but then the main exams were tougher. The night to pathology, I I slept. Yeah, I slept early. Then when I woke up, I tried to read chemical pathology. I think the weekend before, I read pharmacology on Saturday, and then on Sunday, I started reading my pathology. So the morning of the exams, I was yet to revise my chemical pathology and my anatomical pathology and immunology. Immunology is part of hematology. Monday morning, I haven't revised these three topics. So by the time I entered the hall, I had just glanced through chemical pathology. In the exam hall, histopathology, I didn't even know what I was writing. Like when I started writing histopathology, when I started writing the MCQs, I knew that if I should write this way in my theory and in my practical, then it's over. I'm going to fail. Personally, whenever I'm having issues in exam hall, I don't feel bad. I use this coping mechanism of trying to laugh at myself. Maybe after the exams, I can think about it and feel bad, coupled with the fact that I had other pathologies to write, and in the afternoon, I still had to come back for ACs. I wrote chemical pathology, hematology, microbiology before I went to anatomical pathology. After the exams, it was a break, I think 2 hours before we went for AC. So while I was reading for my AC, I was seeing all the mistakes I made in my MCQs. But like I said, I try not to allow it to get to me. I just try not to think of the mistake. I just take the correction in case I see something like that I have to write about in theory. My essay was quite okay. It was normal. It was better than the MCQs. Then the next day, I think I wrote pharmacology, right? So I wrote pharmacology the next day, but the exam was moved to I think 8 a.m. or 7:30. I don't know. But I told myself that if I sleep this night without finishing all the systems, because pharmacology has 6 different systems, if I sleep this night without finishing it, then it's over for me. And that's what I didn't sleep till I finished my pharmacology revision. Pharmacology, we write essay first and then write our OSCE. Then the next day we come back for MCQs. For the exam, I knew that I was not going to have time to review my answers. That's for the essay part. So I had to quickly write. I wasn't even thinking. I was not thinking pharmacology. I was just writing anything that came to my head immediately. If something is delaying to, if a question or answer is delaying to come to my head, I'll just skip it. If a drug is delaying, I'll just skip it. That was how I wrote my pharmacology essay exams. Then the MCQs were okay. Then my practicals. I think the worst practical I wrote was chemical pathology, because it's called practical for a reason, right? But the questions were like theory, just like writing short answer theory, and the time was very short. When they said we should submit, I was telling myself, these people called this time, because I could not believe that the time was up, because I haven't even done much. I had a lot. I had a lot of questions I hadn't answered, and you're telling me the time up, plus the calculations too. Histopathology, the questions were fair. I used it to make up for the rubbish I wrote in my MCQs. Then hematology was something else. It was just something I never expected. Like leaving the exam hall, I was in a very bad mood, because of all people, of all courses, I didn't expect hematology to do that. And hematology was my best course in 40. My Viva exams, my experience in Viva was not as bad as the experience I had in my third year. Viva exams for my second MB, I had 4 examiners, right? Yeah. For pathology, I had 4 examiners. For pharmacology, I had only one examiner. So for pathology, the 4 examiners are going to ask you different questions, and I was the second to last person for my panel. And then the prof said one question each from every single person. But they ended up asking me, I think one person, histopathology asked me two, and hematology asked me, I think 7 or 8. Hematology asked me a lot. Chemical pathology asked me, like say, 2 questions. Yes. So because of the amount of time I had already spent in the room, I was asked to go, so I didn't get any question from microbiology. Pharmacology exams, my viva, the lecturer was just asking. Sometimes I would even answer and he would say something like, "Oh, I helped you to answer it, so I have the mark." So pharmacology was just something else, but it was still fine. I give God all the glory. I've come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Do well to like, comment, share, and subscribe. So I also hope you gained something from this video, either tips on how to prepare for your exams or encouragement that you are not the only one going through such. See you in my next video.